Hello, welcome back to District 5890's Grant Management Seminar. Again, my name is Wally Kronzer, and I am District 5890's Rotary Foundation Committee Chair. This is Module 2, and it covers global grants. It is the second of 3 modules in the Grant Management Seminar. Here is how the seminar will proceed. Again, you will first watch a module video as you are doing here. After you watch a module video, take the module review quiz. You will need to use PowerPoint as it is a PowerPoint presentation. Again, after you have completed all 3 quizzes, email me at the address on the screen. Simply give me your name, your club, and your 2018-2019 club position. Again, this way I will be able to give your club the appropriate Grant Management Seminar training credit. Remember, we are using the 4-way test as our honor system when it comes to your following the Grant Management Seminar process. Let's cover a few of the significant points concerning global grants. They are large, long-term projects. They are sustainable with measurable outcomes. There is alignment with areas of focus. There is an international partnership. There is a World Fund match. It involves Rotary clubs in 2 districts. And there is a minimum total budget of $30,000 US. As we discussed in Module 1, Rotary has identified specific causes to target to maximize our local and global impact. Through global grants, we help clubs focus their service efforts in the following areas: peace and conflict prevention and resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, economic and community development. Sustainable projects are ones giving a community the skills and knowledge to maintain project outcomes for the long term after grant funds have been expended. To be sustainable, a project or activity will continue to have an impact after the funds are expended. Project must meet a community need that is consistent with the values and culture of the project's beneficiaries. Equipment and technology for a project should be purchased from local sources whenever possible. Spare parts for equipment should be available within the community. Community members should be involved in selecting the equipment and should be trained to maintain and repair it, and a local funding source should cover long-term operation, maintenance, and repair. A project should strengthen beneficiaries' knowledge and skills through education and training. Project partners should collaborate with local organizations to supply expertise. Project partners should identify individuals willing to assume leadership roles for sustaining project outcomes. Clear and measurable project objectives should be developed and a method for collecting data established. Figures will ideally demonstrate change for at least 3 years. Let's talk about applying for and implementing a global grant. First, the global grant application. At this time, you might want to stop the video and from the district website, pull up the global grants application template. You should begin every application by first completing as much as possible the global grant application template. The template can be found on the district website as well as Rotary.org. Global grant applications are submitted online. The grant application tool is accessible by going to Rotary.org/grants. Applications are accepted on a rolling basis. There are no application deadlines. However, if your application includes travel, please ensure that it is submitted at least 90 days before travel is scheduled to begin. There are 6 aspects to a successful grant project. They are: meet community needs, are sustainable, are measurable, involve a partner, have an implementation plan, maintain proper stewardship of funds. There will be a Global Grants Community Assessment, sometimes called a needs assessment. At this time, you might want to stop the video and from the district website, pull up the Global Grants Community Assessment results form. The Community Assessment Report is the starting point for a successful global grant. The most important point to remember is that you must base the projects on community's needs. You will have to determine what resources your club and potential partners have. You have to talk to the community. Remember, the community assessment is required for any global grant after July 1, 2018. Let's talk about setting goals. They should be measurable. They should be sustainable. They should be qualitative. They should be quantitative. They should gather baseline data. They should determine the method of measurement. Let's look at creating a budget. Realistic, competitive bidding, reasonable prices, disclose conflicts of interest. A conflict of interest exists when a Rotarian may benefit financially or personally from grant activities. The benefit can be either direct, that is, the Rotarian benefits, or indirect, an associate of the Rotarian benefits. Financial benefits could include receiving grant funds for being a project manager or receiving grant funds as a vendor for the project. Personal benefits can include receiving a promotion, getting business referrals, or gaining publicity or improved social standing. Associates can include many people: family members, friends, other Rotarians, personal acquaintances, colleagues, and business partners. Rotarians have a reputation for professional integrity. Addressing and preventing conflict of interest helps preserve this reputation for the club, the district, and the Rotary Foundation. When Rotarians freely disclose any direct or indirect association with the grant project, they help ensure fair process and transparency in the use of foundation funds. Global grant financing. As to global grant financing, the minimum total budget for a global grant project is $30,000 US. With only a couple of exceptions, the grant must also be asking for at least $15,000 in matching funds from the Rotary Foundation. Clubs and districts can contribute to the financing of a global grant using district designated funds that are matched dollar for dollar by the Foundation's World Fund. Rotarian cash contributions, such as outright gifts from Rotarians or funds from Rotarian-led fundraisers, are matched 50 cents to the dollar by the Foundation. Non-Rotarian cash contributions, that is, donations from other organizations, businesses, or people, are also matched 50 cents to the dollar by the Foundation. International sponsors of humanitarian projects are required to provide at least 30% of the total sponsor funding. The host sponsor is not required to provide any funding, but local funding may be part of the particular grant. Rotarians cannot collect funds from beneficiaries or cooperating organizations in exchange for receiving the grant. Contributions cannot come from other Rotary grant projects. Cash contributions should always be credited to the individuals who gave the funds. Rotarians cannot collect funds from individuals and claim the donation as their own unless they have received explicit permission from the donors to do so. How to secure District 5890 district designated funds funding. A global grant does not require a district to contribute DDF, but clubs wishing to secure District 5890 DDF funding should follow several steps. First, the club should complete the Global Grant Application Template. The template can be found at the district's website as well as Rotary.org's Grant Center. The template provides all of the necessary information for the district to determine the project's viability. Second, the club should use the Global Grant Funding Calculator to determine the project's funding needs. Third, the club should submit the completed template and completed funding calculator to the Grants Subcommittee Chair or Vocational Training Team Subcommittee Chair, depending upon which type of global grant is involved. If necessary, the funding calculator can be modified based on the amount of DDF, if any, awarded to the project. You will notice that none of the steps involved going to the district governor first. It is the duty of the District Rotary Foundation Committee to vet projects, including DDF availability. Let's talk about implementation. Communication is crucial to a successful implementation. For example, you should communicate regularly with partners and community members about the progress of the grant, or scholars about the progress of their studies, or both partner clubs and districts to report on how funds are being spent, or the Rotary Foundation according to the reporting requirements of the grant terms and conditions. The club must implement a financial management plan for grant funds, including a separate bank account, a plan to transfer the custody of the account if necessary, a plan to disperse funds, and any requirements related to local laws. Detailed grant records simplify reporting on the use of grant funds, responding to inquiries, and increasing the transparency of how grant funds are managed. Remember, for global grants, you must follow the Rotary-approved grant plan. Any changes to the scope or budget of your project requires Rotary's approval. Evaluation. Conducting an evaluation helps a club determine the success of a project and identify any areas of improvement for the future. Conducting an evaluation will assist clubs with their reporting requirements. Use lessons learned to replicate successes and adjust for challenges in the next project. Use the goals set during the planning stage to evaluate the success of a project or activity. The data and evaluation method and frequency should be set during the planning stage. Project evaluation happens during implementation through completion and beyond. Promoting project and activity successes, both within your club and with the public, gets others involved and interested in participating in Rotary, and it's a great way to let donors know how funds were spent. Let's talk about oversight and reporting. Stewardship. Stewardship is the responsible management and oversight of grant funds, including clubs must follow standard business practices for managing these funds. It's important to review financial records to confirm proper use of funds. Good stewardship is achieved by putting systems in place that create club-wide awareness of the use of funds. Widespread knowledge helps prevent mismanagement. Any irregularities or misuse of grant funds should be reported immediately. Submit timely, complete, and accurate reports to demonstrate good stewardship of funds to Rotary and all grant partners. A club's level of oversight, transparency, and accountability in managing Rotary grant funds affects donors' confidence in giving to the Rotary Foundation and working with the club on future projects. Financial management plan. Your club should have a club-controlled bank account used only for global grant funds. A separate account should be opened for each club-sponsored global grant. This will assist you with keeping accurate financial records. Have a plan in place to transfer custody of the club's account in case a signatory is no longer able to perform his or her duties. Once your club receives grant funds, it is important to have a plan for distributing and tracking funds. For example, if you are sponsoring a scholar, the plan should specify when and how your club will distribute the funds to the scholar. Expenditures should be made using a traceable method such as a check or a bank card. Keep track of transaction details. Laws in some countries and regions may be more stringent than Rotary requirements. Know your local laws and follow them. When local laws are less stringent than Rotary requirements, be sure to adhere to Rotary requirements. As to document retention, all documents should be accessible to everyone in the club. It may be that your club chooses to keep documents in a binder or a file system, or scan documents and save them electronically to a shared network. Documents must be retained for a minimum of 5 years, or longer if local laws require it. Be sure to make PDF copies. Reporting requirements. Reporting is a requirement, and it is a key component of proper stewardship and grant management. If a club has already completed an evaluation of the project and maintained records in accordance with the Club Memorandum of Understanding, completing Rotary's reporting requirements is simple. Reporting verifies that grants were managed properly and implemented in accordance with Rotary grant policies. It also provides an opportunity for communication between partners, building the trust necessary to continue the partnership in support of future projects. Reporting allows project partners in the foundation to celebrate successes and learn from challenges. It encourages future giving because donors are confident that their funds have been used as intended. It provides valuable evaluation data that the foundation uses to improve its grant making. It allows Rotary to demonstrate to current and future donors its effectiveness and the impact of its grants. It allows project outcomes in each area of focus to be aggregated and marketed to Rotary's audiences. As to global grant reports, progress reports must be submitted within 12 months of receiving the first global grant payment and every 12 months afterwards. The final report must be submitted within 2 months of completing the project or activity. Unused grant funds may be used for additional eligible and foundation-approved expenses. Changes to a project must be approved by Rotary. Any unused funds returned to Rotary will be credited to the World Fund. As to global grant reports, your global grant report should include how partners were involved, the type of activity, evaluation of project goals, how area of focus goals were met, how funds were spent, and the number of beneficiaries and how they benefited. Again, here are the resources for global grants and understanding the grants process better. As we talked about at the end of Module 1 video, You have the option of taking the quiz at this time or watching the Module 3 video and then taking the quizzes. Thank you for sharing your time with us. I look forward to seeing you in Module 3.